Strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
I do take my oath rather seriously, and I just want to remind people that our oath was to the U.S. Constitution. And so I appreciate the efforts in bringing this particular bill in front of us right now for a vote, for markup, for discussion. But we have an obligation to the Constitution. And I don't find any federal nexus that gives the federal government the authority. I know there's a request from parents or somebody involved that could trigger and, according to the bill, overcome the requirements of the Constitution's delineating what are state police powers and what are federal powers. And I realize that for many years that's been skewed terribly. But I've also, in my earlier decades, seen how actually the federal government can slow down investigations and create problems, taking things away from local law enforcement and delaying the actual solving. I recall I was assistant DA. We had good leads on who bank robbers were and where they headed, but the FBI took over jurisdiction, and due to work of a good sheriff, the bank robbers were located, but the FBI was too busy to do anything about it. So local law enforcement worked together to go get the sheriff where the bank robbers were located, arrested. The answer is not always more federal authority, more federal government. I have agonized with the victims of violent crime. I have sent people away for life. I have sent people to be put to death. My sympathy is greatly with the victims, but more government, more federal government involvement in breach of the United States Constitution and the delineation of power is not always the answer, but it seems to always be the answer in Washington. Well, let's give them more federal government and more federal authority where it is a state or local crime. I'm just concerned when our Constitution is hanging by a thread and we have gotten away from the Republican form of government, that's with a little r, where we have representative government and the main powers among the states and the people, except for those specifically designated in the Constitution. So I really appreciate the efforts of those bringing this bill, but we just skip right over these days the federal nexus. And with regard to the comment about USA Today fact-checking, I'll have to defend USA Today because they were on the horns of a dilemma in fact-checking whether the DOJ and Garland were targeting parents, because they could take Garland's word when he said they were not going to target parents, or they could take the evidence that they went right ahead and targeted parents. And USA Today actually could have gone either way on that and said, you know what, we fact-checked, and those allegations that they're going after parents is right according to the evidence within the FBI. Or they could say, you know what, we're taking Merrick Garland at his word. They're not targeting parents, and therefore we find any allegation to the contrary to be false. So they had a tough decision. Unfortunately, they went the wrong way. They didn't go with the evidence. They went with Merrick Garland, who appeared certainly to be quite dishonest, although he could have had a memory lapse. Maybe he didn't remember what all had taken place under his direction. But my time's expired. I yield back.